That night we barely spoke. She carried on with her preparations like nothing had happened while I sat in silence, grappling with the realization that my voice no longer mattered to her. By the time the night of the party arrived, I wasn't sure what hurt more, her defiance or the fact that she didn't seem to care how it made me feel. When she stepped out of the bedroom, dressed to perfection, I couldn't help but notice how stunning she looked. But beneath the surface of admiration was a knot of unease. "Don't wait up," she said lightly, grabbing her purse and heading for the door. She didn't even look back. As the hours passed, my unease grew. I tried distracting myself, flipping through channels and scrolling aimlessly on my phone, but nothing worked. Around midnight, I sent her a quick text. "Everything okay?" The message was read but left unanswered. By 2 a.m., I gave up trying. She wasn't coming home anytime soon. The next morning, she returned as though nothing had happened. "It was fun," she said casually, avoiding my eyes as she poured herself a cup of coffee. I didn't press for details, knowing deep down that the answers would only confirm my worst fears. But I couldn't shake the feeling that something had shifted irreparably between us. Over the following weeks, the distance between us became impossible to ignore. She spent more time on her phone, her screen lighting up with messages from names I didn't recognize. Late nights became the norm, and her excuses grew thinner with each passing day. "Work ran late," she'd say, even though I knew her freelance gigs rarely required her to be out of the house. Then one night I found the proof I had been dreading. She left her phone on the counter while she went to shower. A notification popped up, a message from someone I didn't know. My heart pounded as I debated whether to look, but curiosity won out. What I found shattered me. The messages weren't just flirtatious, they were explicit. Texts detailing their plans, their late-night meetings, and emotions she used to reserve for me. My suspicions were confirmed. The party she had insisted on attending wasn't just a casual gathering. It had been the backdrop for one of their encounters. For a moment, I just stood there, numb with shock. Then, a new feeling took over. Anger. This wasn't just a betrayal of trust. It was a betrayal of everything we had built together. I knew I couldn't confront her immediately. If I wanted to take control of the situation, I had to play my cards right. This wasn't the end, not yet. That night I couldn't sleep. The messages replayed in my mind like a cruel loop, each word cutting deeper than the last. I wanted to confront her right then and there, but I knew acting impulsively wouldn't serve me. If I wanted justice and closure, I needed a plan. This wasn't just about the betrayal anymore. It was about reclaiming control of my life and ensuring she understood the full weight of her actions. Over the next week, I began piecing together the puzzle. Her erratic behavior, the late nights, the party, it all made sense now. Using her phone's notifications as a starting point, I discovered the identity of the man she was seeing. His name was Liam, and a quick social media search revealed more than I expected. He wasn't just some random fling. He was someone she had been seeing for months. Pictures of them together, though subtle, painted a story I hadn't been privy to. The more I uncovered, the more calculated I became. I started documenting everything, screenshots of messages, photos, timestamps. I reached out to a lawyer to discuss my options, ensuring I could protect myself in the event of a divorce. I had sacrificed too much for this marriage to let it crumble without securing what was mine. Despite my growing resentment, I kept up appearances. I didn't let on that I knew anything, continuing to play the role of the unsuspecting husband. Sarah, oblivious to my discovery, carried on as if nothing had changed. She'd still make casual remarks about her work obligations or nights out with friends, thinking I'd buy her lies. Little did she know, I was already several steps ahead. The turning point came 2 weeks later. Sarah announced she'd be going out again, this time for drinks with a coworker. I didn't even flinch, letting her think I believed her story. But as soon as she left, I followed. Her destination wasn't a bar or a cafe. It was Liam's apartment. From the safety of my car parked discreetly across the street, I watched as she let herself in, laughing as Liam greeted her at the door. My chest tightened, but I stayed composed. This was the confirmation I needed. The next morning, as Sarah lounged in the kitchen with her coffee, I sat across from her with a calm demeanor. "How was your night?" I asked casually. She glanced up, a flicker of nervousness crossing her face before she quickly recovered. "Fine," she replied, her tone light, "just work stuff." I nodded, my expression unreadable. "Good, because I've been meaning to talk to you about something." I slid a folder across the table. She hesitated before opening it, her face blanching as she scanned the contents. Screenshots of her texts, photos of her at Liam's apartment, even a copy of the divorce papers I had already prepared. "What is this?" she stammered, her voice barely above a whisper. "It's everything," I said calmly. "Everything you've been hiding. Everything I've uncovered. It's over, Sarah." Her hands trembled as she flipped through the evidence. "You've been spying on me?" "I've been protecting myself," I corrected. "You made your choice when you decided to betray me. Now I'm making mine." The confrontation was brief. There was no shouting, no dramatic tears, just the cold, hard reality of her actions laid bare. She tried to justify herself, claiming she felt neglected and that Liam was just a distraction. But her excuses fell on deaf ears. I wasn't interested in her reasons anymore. I was done. Within days, the divorce proceedings were in motion. Thanks to the evidence I'd gathered, the legal process was heavily in my favor. Sarah's affair left her with little leverage, and I ensured that the assets I had worked so hard for remained mine. The house, the savings, even the car, all of it stayed with me. She was left to pick up the pieces of her life, while I focused on rebuilding mine. As the weeks passed, I found a strange sense of peace. The weight of her lies was no longer suffocating me, and I began to rediscover the parts of myself I had lost during our marriage. I reconnected with old friends, threw myself into my work, and even started exploring hobbies I had long neglected. Life, for the first time in years, felt like it was mine again. But the story didn't end there. One day, while scrolling through social media, I stumbled upon something that made me pause. A picture of Sarah and Liam smiling together at some event. The caption read, "New beginnings, heart." I couldn't help but laugh. New beginnings, indeed. A month later, the laughter turned into vindication. A mutual friend informed me that Sarah and Liam's relationship had imploded. Apparently, Liam wasn't the devoted partner she thought he was. He had been seeing someone else the entire time they were together, leaving Sarah devastated and alone. Karma, it seemed, had a way of balancing the scales. For me, life only got better. I wasn't just surviving, I was thriving. I found myself in a healthier, happier place, no longer weighed down by the toxicity of a broken relationship. And while Sarah's betrayal had once felt like the end of my world, I now saw it for what it was, a blessing in disguise. Looking back, I realized that the night of the party wasn't just the beginning of the end, it was the start of a new chapter. One where I learned my worth, rediscovered my strength, and built a life that was truly mine. And for that, I was grateful.